This is the You Not Me podcast with Chris Behrmann. I'm your host, Jared Odenbeck. In today's episode, and the first episode ever of the You Not Me podcast, we're going to be talking about true friendship. We're going to discuss what it is, how you can find it, and how you can be a true friend to someone else. And even Chris is going to share some of his own personal obstacles to creating true friendship. We hope that you'll enjoy. So to begin, what is true friendship? How does it look?
Yeah, true friendship, as you said, it's super rare to find these days. And if you are even able to count on one hand the number of true friends you have, you are truly blessed. And the biggest thing is looking at another person and saying, regardless of how they treat me, regardless of the mistakes they make, I am so deeply caring for that person that I will never leave them, that I will never forsake them. And I know some of you listening might say, well, what if they do this? What if they do that? But also at the same time, yes, there is a limit to obviously protecting yourself, making sure that you are well cared for and not allowing yourself to be hurt and taken advantage of over and over again. But at the same time, unless you step out in faith and truly try to care about other people, until you truly try to get to know someone else's story, get to understand what actually makes who they are today from their past to their present, and then do you see the beautiful, the unbelievable, amazing talents they have to do something amazing in the future. And I think truly a true friendship is one that says, I'm going to take all of you and truly care about it and truly embrace all of that and know that you do have flaws, because I know I have flaws. I think, one of the greatest blessings I've ever had was to be a father. And I have two boys that I love absolutely unconditionally. I try to tell them over and over again, there's nothing you can do that would ever cause me to stop loving you. And sure, there are times that I will not be thrilled with the way you act or decisions you make or words you say, but at the same time, that will never cause you to be gone from my family. And I think when you look at a friendship, the hope is that when you have a friend, that they truly eventually become family, and that you think of them in the exact same way, that there's this unconditional love that I know that you're going to make a mistake. I know that you're actually doing the best you can with what you have, but you might have some baggage from the past. You might have some things, some people that have hurt you. Maybe it's your own family, and you even struggle with the word family because your family isn't great. And I want to help you see that that's not the case. Like, it doesn't have to be. That you can walk forward and you can create a friendship that becomes so deep, so authentic, so real and vulnerable that it's actually, they are family. And that's what I hope to do with You Not Me, is I hope to help people understand that when you truly care about somebody else above yourself, if you think about them first before what you can get, if you think about what you can give, that is what is going to create an amazing friendship, because it's so rare these days, even in the workplace, just even a colleague, a true friend. That is so different and so rare in this cutthroat world that we've walked into, is that it's all about basically your outcomes. It's all about, did you win? If you didn't win, or if you didn't win enough, you're not worth it to me anymore. So I'm going to cast you aside. And that's what's happening with friendships. If a friend doesn't provide for us something that we want, if they don't make our life better, we cast them aside. When really, the only way that true friendships actually develop is when someone knows how deeply you care about them. And then because they see and feel that, they want to care deeply about you as well. Because so many people have grown cynical about relationships. So many people have said, I'm not going to put myself out there because I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to be taken advantage of. But for a true, authentic relationship to happen, you have to give up yourself. You have to put yourself out there and risk being hurt. I mean, if you want to get married, you're going to have to put yourself out there, and you're going to have to say, vulnerably, I'm giving you my neck. I'm making myself totally open to you, where you could crush and hurt me. But if you don't do that, you will never have one of the most amazing relationships like I have with my wife. I mess up all the time, and she is kind enough to forgive me. She is kind enough to have grace to look past all of that. Same with my kids. And we have amazing relationships that is very rare these days. And I'm so thankful for that. But again, it goes back to the same thing with friendship. you have to truly care about other people before yourself. You have to be willing to sacrifice.
And I think one of the assumptions when we talk about the term true friendship is that there's such thing as a false or like a fake friendship. And that's really what we see is so prevalent in the world. And I think that part of the reason that is because people do know that everyone else is messed up. People know that they have deep flaws and wounds that are in their past, and that the person that they're engaging with probably has the same. And I think that a lot of times the path of less resistance for people is to just say, well, I'd rather just operate on the surface level because then I'm not going to see all the ugly and I'm not going to have to give the forgiveness that I might have to give otherwise. And I'm not going to have to even show my own cards and show that I don't have it all together either. So maybe you can speak to just some of the challenges to true friendship, some of the obstacles, and you've already named that people have, a mess in their past, which we all have and we all have to deal with. But maybe you can elaborate on that and just identify some of the other challenges that might come up.
Yeah, I think, some of the hard things with true friendship is it's that unwillingness to say that because, we often feel very judged. And if we're honest, the majority of what we try to make great and shiny and pretty is the exterior versus our interior versus our heart. And the thing is, people don't see your heart; they feel your heart, and maybe they see it in your actions. But if they just look at you first glance, whether it's on a Zoom call with work or if it's in the gym or on a sports team, you first join, you're judged by your appearance, but people have no idea what your heart is. And what I've found is there are some people that look the part, they are spot on. But then when you see time and time again their actions, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that that was what was inside them. And, often we don't realize that what's on the inside is what eventually comes out. And, there's a great saying, from your heart springs your thoughts, your words, your actions. And that's why we have to take our heart captive. We have to be, and we have to be very thoughtful to protect our heart from outside things. So sometimes we close up and that we don't allow other people to get close to us. When really, when you protect your heart, it's more being thoughtful, almost, it's almost like a cell layer. I mean, it's permeable and impermeable at the same time. There's certain things that can come in and certain things that are kept out. And what we need to do with relationships is realize that there are people that, because they've been hurt in the past, they do make some bad decisions. They might take advantage of us, but also they might never have seen what true unconditional love is, what a true unconditional friendship is. And once someone experiences that and truly experiences it, they want more and more and more of that. And the point is can you create that one relationship, that one friendship that is so solid, so secure that you're able to step out into the world to other people you get into contact with and love them well, regardless of how they treat you. And so some of the pitfalls really is just us not allowing other people to truly be themselves. We try to shape them, and if they don't fit a certain mold that we want, well, then we just cast them aside, and that's not who I want to be friends with. But really, ultimately, the hope is that we're the change in the world. Hopefully, that how we treat other people, and then our actions, hopefully, to walk blamelessly as far as having integrity, a work ethic, being kind to others, and just being thoughtful and seeing the need around us is going to have a ripple effect, and it's going to impact other people to where they're like, that's different. Like, you're different from, whether you're different from the business development or salespeople I work with normally, or you're different from people that I've gotten a chance to play with. Like, you really do care about the team more than just your own playing time or just yourself. And it's so different when it's truly lived out the right way. People are so thankful for it. And they'll actually even tell you. They'll tell you you're different. But the point is you have to step out and be different for that to happen. And for you to step out and create an amazing relationship, that means you have to step out and be vulnerable. You have to take risks. You have to give yourself away if you want love. And that love is so strong. I mean, like, there's one of my closest friends, his dad just passed away. And I get a chance to go and support him at his dad's funeral tomorrow. And there's nothing's going to keep me from that, because he is a true friend. He is truly my family. And so the thing is, what in life are you allowing to get in the way of you showing somebody how much they matter. And the same goes with your spouse. The same goes with your kids. What things do you allow to get in the way of that relationship, whether it's busyness, whether it's putting things above them? Those are the things that can kind of derail true friendship. But also, more importantly, is if you're trying to get something from somebody, over time, they're going to see that, they're going to feel that. The trust is going to break down. There's the foundation will be in shambles, and that relationship will never go anywhere. But I just literally heard this from a college student last night. One of my son's teammates was saying how when he goes into this one dining hall at school, he talks to everybody now, and he said it's funny to see how they light up when he walks in because they know his heart and they know that he's just trying to say hello and be thankful and thoughtful to them, because most people don't do it. They just walk in, they get their food and they leave, and they treat them as, maybe you call it a servant or someone that needs to be there working, doing their job. But why can't we go beyond that? Why can't we take our little interactions throughout the day, whether it's going to Chipotle or some restaurant to get food or going to the grocery store, talk to the person that's at the checkout line. Just tell them thank you for their day. Ask them how they're doing. It's amazing, especially if you run into that person over and over again, they smile when they see you the next time, because not many people do that.
I know that one of your favorite quotes is the Oswald Chambers quote. It says, sincerity is when the appearance and the reality are exactly the same. And I think that a lot of people have a difficult time with true friendship because they see kind of a Jekyll and Hyde from different people that they meet, where in one moment they're this way, and another moment they're another way. When things are going really well, they're on cloud nine. When things are going difficult, they don't want anything to do with anything at all. And I think as well, there is this kind of like under the surface issue that everyone deals with as well, that which we talk about a lot at You Not Me, and it's this cancer of the heart, which we call me not you, which is really just a selfishness, a pride, a self-allegiance. You referred to it a little bit earlier, just talking about prioritizing other things over people. How can people get past that? I would say that's probably one of the, if not the biggest hurdles to creating amazing relationships with anyone. So how can people get past that? What do they need to do to heal their heart so that they can then step into an amazing relationship with someone else?
Yeah, I think, the hard thing is, I remember there was a group that I did a lot of work with, and there was a person that came up with, and spoke to me at the end of a week-long conference that I spoke at each day. And he basically, in not so many words, he just said, I'm not buying what you're selling. He's like, I don't think that all this stuff works. And that's the problem is, I think so often we've seen the world around us and we think that's the way it should go, but it's actually what we're talking about. It's countercultural to the world right now, to the society that we're in, and where everything is about showing and boasting about how great we are so that people think we're awesome. Versus if you go back many, many years ago when we lived in smaller villages and we actually relied on each other. The thing is like we would reach out to people and we would build relationships more often because we were doing things more often on a regular basis with them. Where now we can almost exist somewhat. I mean, you can order everything from Amazon. You don't even have to leave your house. You can go, weeks without even leaving your house. You can just order everything online, whether it's food, groceries, etc. And the problem is too many people have forgotten that it takes you stepping out in faith to try this. That this isn't some new age different thing. This is how life used to work in the past. This is how life was amazing in the past. And we've gotten to this very me focused and even your neighbor, a lot of times your next door neighbor, most people don't even know them because they don't take the time to talk to them, but you live right next to them 24/7 and you don't make that effort, where they could be amazing friends, but you've never given them a chance. So you have to step out in faith and try it. And what's interesting is so many people are afraid to try it because they're like, well, if I do this, or I've done it before and it didn't work out well. And the thing is guess what? It's not going to work every single time. Some people are just hard, but some people, if you keep loving them well, if you keep showing up with sincerity, as you said, where their appearance is truly the same as what your heart and your intent is when you actually talk to them, And some people, sadly, they're like, if someone asks them to go to lunch that they've never really met, they're like, oh, what does this guy want from me? And it's maybe the person's genuinely wanting to get to know you, but you're actually shutting down that opportunity to have a relationship because you're so used to people taking advantage and trying to, get something from you. And so sometimes you do have to put yourself out there. Sometimes you may get walked on, but the thing is as I've seen is, over time, the hardest people, if they are loved well, regardless what's happened to them in the past, that hard outer shell starts to crumble and melt away. But we have to step out and try to do it. And if we don't ever try, we miss out. It's, it's kind of like, driving a car. If you don't step on the gas, you can sit there and and turn the steering wheel left and right, but you're not going to go anywhere. And without putting your foot on the gas. And there was I remember, there was a great quote by a guy named Earl Nightingale where he talked about this person that said, I want fire. And the guy's like, okay, add the wood. He's like, no, 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 I want fire, then I'll add the wood. And it doesn't work that way. You can't get fire without adding the wood first. And so the same thing with relationships, unless you step out and try to actually, talk to somebody, interact with them, go out of the way, like friends aren't just going to flock to you. And if they do, it's a lot of times because you're really popular and they want something from you. But if you really want to build a deep friendship, you have to then make that commitment to step out, to say hello, to get to know somebody, and to truly care about them and to serve them and to sometimes sacrifice to where maybe you're on the losing end. But over time, what happens is that person sees over and over again, my gosh, Jared is such a good person. He just cares truly. He just shows up whenever I need him. I never do anything for him. Why does he do this? And the answer is, it's not like you're doing it for any reason to get something. You're doing it because you just truly, genuinely care about him. And that's not happening enough in the world today. And part of it is just, if you look at corporate America, I mean, look, the balance sheet is the ruler of all decisions. If the balance sheet is out of whack, people just start cutting people, and it becomes a very transactional thing. It's no longer is it transformational with these relationships. It's very transactional. If we aren't here, that means we need to cut people to get here. And sorry, your number's up, and we're going to cut you. Instead of those leaders and those business people, the CEOs of companies, the CFOs that are making those decisions, saying, wait, there are actually not just lives, but there are families that go with that person. Let's think intentionally and thoughtfully. Is there another way we can do this? Is there another way? But also at the same time, there are ways that you can, whether it's breaking up with somebody or having to let someone go, that you can do it in a human way to where it's truly that you care about that person, because there's also a ripple effect that goes out from that. If you do it the wrong way, if you do it in a totally cold-hearted way where you just cut them off and see you bye and there's nothing other than like, see ya, then people get to hear about that. And then the people that are great at your company start to question, well, what is the heart of our leaders at our company? Am I worth anything? Maybe I'm worth something now because I've delivered, but if I stop delivering, am I going to be cut as well? And this is what happens in marriages. This is what happens with kids. I mean, kids are just constantly trying to please their parents a lot of times. And because they get the most love and affection from their parents when they get good, great grades, when they do, amazing things in their, whatever their extracurriculars are or sports. But then when they don't succeed, there's all this negativity, or they get a cold shoulder, or they're not loved as much. So the message we're telling them is that unless you achieve, you're not worth anything to me. And that goes totally against unconditional love. Unconditional love is, you may have achieved in the past and that was awesome, but you didn't achieve now, but I still love you just as much anyway. And that's what's rare in the world these days. And that's why when you see marriages fall apart, I was just at a marriage, this past week in a wedding ceremony. And, when they go through for richer or poorer, for sickness and in health, and the answer is, do you or do you not? And people say, yes, I do. But the question is, back to that sincerity quote by Oswald Chambers, do you really mean it? Because it's hard if you mean it. There are times that it's not going to be fun because we're all broken. We're all, flawed humans that maybe say the right thing with the wrong tone, or maybe we, reflexively do something that is out of character because we're stressed. And I mean, I've even been that way. And again, back to my wife, with the grace she has for me, she's loved me anyway, and she's loved me through it, and I've gotten better from it. And that's the amazing thing, is with relationships, just like anything in life, when we go through those hard times, it can be really hard. But also, the biggest and most important thing is, if you and the other person have the right heart, where you're truly, genuinely for each other, and there's forgiveness, there's repentance, and there's grace, the relationship grows so much stronger, so much better, because we see time and time again, yeah, maybe they make a mistake, but I know their heart is for me, and I'm going to forgive him because I know that he didn't mean that. And my wife's had to say that, unfortunately, a number of times, is that he's stressed. Maybe he said that the way that, or he didn't say it the way he wanted to, but I'm going to give him grace anyway. And again, then the hope is that when someone receives that grace, that forgiveness, that they are truly heartfelt and I didn't mean to do that, and they try to change. They try to do things in a better way because they want nothing. They never want to hurt that person. And if they did, it was by mistake. But also, again, even if it's in a customer, relationship with work, if somebody makes a mistake, the greatest thing you can do if you make a mistake to not only salvage the relationship, but build it, is to raise your hand as quick as possible. Say, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. We will fix it. We'll charge you nothing. And also, maybe you didn't know what was happening, and it was a total accident. And then you say, please help me learn, or I'm going to learn so it never happens again. And what does that do? That builds deeper trust with that client. And they're like, okay, yeah, he made a mistake, but guess what? Somebody's going to make a mistake. And the point is that not only did he own up, to it, he said, we're going to fix it, and it's never going to happen again. And we're going to find, new, better ways to do things to ensure it doesn't happen again. So that trust is built stronger and stronger, to where eventually that client is so thankful for the relationship, even though you might make a mistake, and they know you're probably going to make a mistake again, but they also trust that if you do, you've shown in the past that not only will you raise your hand right away, but you'll fix it, and it'll be just a little bump in the road, and you'll just keep going upwards and just create this amazing relationship to where they have so much trust in you. They want to find more places to actually do business and do work with you than anybody else, because they don't get that kind of trust and service with everybody else.
I think one of the biggest things that you're hitting on here, especially, is just dying to self, surrendering your rights, surrendering your right to be the superior person, whether it's morally or with a track record, or, I'm getting everything right, but actually taking ownership and saying, you know what, like I don't get everything right. And that's okay, because we have this trust, we have this deeper level of relationship where we have grace for each other. Even though, in any relationship, you might be able to, keep a scoreboard and say, well, this person's done 15 right and I've done 30 right. And so therefore, they owe me. But just surrendering your right to get even and canceling your debts and saying, no, I don't see any of the wrongs that this person's done. I've forgotten about all of them. I only know the depth of relationship that we have, the trust that we have. And that's what's important at the end of the day, not the mistakes that someone's made. I'm maybe thinking of two different kinds of people here, if I'm reading the room right, in response to all of this. The one person's maybe thinking that they want to go a little bit more, maybe on the offensive right away. Like, how can I be a true friend to someone else today? So maybe if you can give, a handful of just like quick practical ideas there for someone who's like, I want to do this to someone else today. But then there's maybe the other person who's saying, I don't really have any existing relationships. I feel alone and isolated. How can I find this kind of friendship and relationship that you're talking about? And maybe, they're a bit hesitant to go out on their own and seek it out, or they're not even sure where to start. So maybe, a couple action steps for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think the one thing that's really, I do worry about what these things with these phones can do, as far as stealing our time. But my gosh, it's an amazing opportunity just to quickly pick up the phone and text somebody and just tell them how grateful you are for them, and whether it's something they've done for you or just how they're always there for you. You can send a text, you can pick up the phone and make a phone call, which I always prefer. But send an email, something just to say thank you. Like, I heard a saying once that true gratitude, until it is actually expressed, it's not as powerful as, I mean, I might be unbelievably grateful for you, Jared, but if I don't tell you, whether it's text, on the phone, in person, whatever it is, how thankful I am for the great job that you do at You Not Me, with the posts, with the writings, with helping with the book, with just so many things. If I have all that in my heart, if I'm so grateful, but I never tell you, you have no idea. And I've lost the power of that, because there's such great power in gratitude, but until it's expressed, it isn't fully, hitting the absolute high notes that it could in life. And so it's just finding a way. And even your parents, I mean, there are a lot of times where, I know when we're young, we think our parents don't know what they're talking about, and we get frustrated with some of their decisions or choices. And but over time, we see that there was maybe some wisdom in that, and maybe their heart for it, we didn't quite understand it at the time because maybe we were a bit foolish. But again, just letting them know like how thankful we are for the maybe the little things that they've done. Because again, no parent is perfect, but at the same time, we can take just a few moments to do that. Even, and it's interesting. I've recently seen how powerful handwritten notes are, and to take just 5 minutes and on a little note card, just write a few sentences and stick it in the mail to somebody, and how much joy that brings somebody. A text is great and it's awesome, but also too, there's something about that personal touch of being in person, whether or on the phone or sending a letter, just that just really, it just goes the extra mile and helps people see that. So those are a couple easy ways, but also too, it's just taking the time, even when you're walking past a stranger. What I've seen is oftentimes people have their eyes down, or they might look at you and look away. And I always, whenever I do that, whether it's in an airport or wherever I am, I always try to look people in the eye and smile, say hello. I mean, TSA, most people are not kind to TSA agents in the airport, because what they always do is tell you you've done something wrong and hold up the line or whatever. But every time I see a TSA agent, I always tell them, thank you for your service, and I smile. And they kind of look, and they're caught off guard, because people don't do that very often. But what's also interesting is it can be a ripple effect to where the person behind me all of a sudden hears me do that, and they're like, yeah, thank you so much. And where maybe they wouldn't have done that before, because sometimes we're afraid to step out and say something just because of how someone's going to receive it. But if you don't say it, it's, again, that power is lost. So that was, maybe a couple small ways to do it. But again, even just looking for the need around you. If you see someone that looks like they're not in a good place, or struggling, and maybe you don't have time, but maybe you do, and you can just ask, are you okay? And sometimes people just want to feel like they're noticed, and that someone sees them, and what that does to their spirit. But also they might say, no, I'm not okay. And can you slow yourself down and give a few moments of your time to listen to them, and to ask if there's anything you can do? And maybe they're a good friend, maybe they're not a good friend, but maybe because you asked that, maybe they become a good friend. But had you not ever asked, you missed that opportunity.
That's great. And what about for the person who, maybe is having a more difficult time to build friendships, or maybe has never experienced a true friendship, and they're like, hey, I want to experience this, but I don't really know where to start because I don't even really have any established relationships at this moment. So how can they organically, without it being super forced, or kind of like impressing their will on someone else and saying, you have to be my friend? How can they start to build relationships from the ground up?
A jar, and say you're trying to fill that jar with, say, some rocks and sand and everything. And sometimes it's just one by one putting those pebbles, those grains of sand in. Sometimes you might be able to put some larger stones in, to fill it up. But the biggest and most important thing you can do is look around at the people that you interact with on a daily basis. Who are the people that you think, wow, that person is impressive, or that person is very kind, or find things, really, I guess, well, let me step back a little bit further first and look at your own heart first, and reflect on who you are. And part of the issue with relationships, it may be that you don't see it, and maybe you're blind to the fact that maybe you do live a bit more of a me, not you life, to where you're focused on yourself, and you're always trying to put yourself above others, whether it's at work, whether it's, whatever, you're always looking for ways to do that. And if you understand that maybe you are, can you stop that? Because that could be one of the things that is actually holding you back, is people, maybe they see from you on a regular basis what you don't yet see of yourself, is that you can be, we can always be very selfish if we're not careful. If you think of, like, everybody either has kids or has had siblings or cousins or whatever, and if you see two kids, one has a toy, one doesn't, and they're, say, 2 years old, what happens with the one that doesn't have a toy? Well, they want the toy because they see the other one having fun, so they go and either take it or whatever, and then a fight ensues because all they were thinking about was their own joy and pleasure. And instead, can you actually think about the joy and pleasure of others? And so that kind of nature of us trying to look after ourselves, some of it is even animalistic, as far as, survival of the fittest, right? And like, hey, there's only so much food, so I have to get whatever is mine. And that's not really the case anymore. And what we need to do is, how can we look at another person and say, okay, how can I make their life better? So once we reflect on how we've been acting, can we then maybe, reorient ourselves and go, and maybe in a new and different, better way, to say, okay, instead of being so focused on what I can get, or maybe, me being the first through the door, can I hold the door for somebody and let them go in first? Or if two people are walking up in line together, can I stop and just let that person go ahead of me instead of me barging in front first? So, like, little things like that, you can kind of get some kind of direction on how you seem to normally act. But then when you look out at the people around you, how do you choose to treat them? And also, do you see people that, like when we talk about the you not me mindset, do you see people that live that out? And if so, like, those are some of the first people you should reach out to, because I guarantee you, if there is someone that you see that truly lives out a you not me mindset, they're going to be more than open to getting to know you. And part of it is you just making sure that, okay, this is a person that I want to get to know. So pick one or two people in your life, whether it's at work and other things that you do, that you're like, okay, they seem really just a kind, genuine person, and we have some similar interests, and just talk to them, like, get to know them. I promise, if you ask questions about their past, what's going on in their life, and if you continue to show interest, they'll start to show interest back. And that's how the relationship starts growing. But also, unless you ask questions, you don't know that maybe you have 5 things in common with that person that you had no idea about, because you never had that conversation. And this is the problem with the virtual workplace right now, is those conversations when we would meet in a meeting room and everybody would talk for a few minutes beforehand, and then we would do the meeting, and then we would be done, and everybody gets up and is talking a little bit on the way out. Those little sidebar conversations where we get to know, that, what's happening in someone's life, those little things that are actually the really, truly genuine personal things, we don't ever talk about them because we've gotten transactional. We show up, we do our Zoom call, or we go to our meeting, and then we leave and we walk right out the door. And we don't care about the people outside of work. And this is the problem in the workplace, is leaders no longer are caring about people outside of work. They don't care about their families. But what they don't understand is that how you treat your employee at work determines their attitude and their heart when they go home to their family. Because if they've been beaten up all day and they're not very valued, and they're taken advantage of, and they're just spread thin, they're going to go home exhausted. And then they're going to have a short temper and fuse with their spouse or their kids, or maybe they just don't even want to talk, or they're just exhausted. And so, is there a way that you can make sure that the people leading your people are helping your people go home feeling valued? Because when they go home feeling valued, they're going to make their own family feel valued. And then when their family is good and everything's firing on all cylinders there, they come to work fired up and they're excited, because they know that their family at home is good, their workplace, they have people around them that genuinely care. Where conversely, if people go home negatively and they treat their family poorly, their family is a terrible place, and it's another burden on them. Then they come to work stressed out and nothing is going well. So it's a cycle either way. It's just a choice of what do you want to do? What kind of a cycle do you want to create? One of positivity and joy and love, or one of negativity and disruption and just frustration and basically despair. So it's really just trying to find those, like, a few people around you if you don't have those friends. And even, Jared and I mean, like, the reason that we've started this is we want to be here for the people that don't have relationships. And whether it's reaching out to us via, whatever, social media, whether it's phone, whether it's email, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, we are here to help you, and we want to point you in a direction, and we want to help you find the joy in life that we have, which is the people around us are what give us joy. It's not the outcomes of life. It's who we do it with along the journey. Because we never know when that last day is, but my goodness, if we're surrounded by people that we truly know care about us, but we truly care about them, that's what creates the amazing life. It's not the amount of money, the size of your house, the 401k, the car you drive, where you live, none of that stuff. Actually, some of that, if you have the wrong heart, creates a terrible life, because all you're worried about is keeping that and showing it off, and it becomes exhausting. Where when you can truly feel and know that you're loved unconditionally by at least one person, it changes everything. But it takes you stepping out and having faith to try to build a relationship and be vulnerable with not just your past, but also where you are right now, but have a clear idea of where you want to go forward and what kind of life you want to create. Because when you do that, that is what creates truly amazing life.
Thanks for that. And if we're going to land the plane here, I'm going to give you maybe a couple minutes to maybe just share some of your own, maybe personal obstacles to true friendship, whether it's, things that you struggle with personally on your end, or things that you've encountered with other people as you're looking to walk this road to amazing, as we say. So maybe a couple of minutes just to share personally some of the issues and obstacles you've encountered.
Look at my past. Like I know whether it was, playing on my, my sports teams, like in college, there were times that was more focused on my playing time or my things. And so what I've seen is that in any relationship that there's an obstacle or some friction, it's often because I've been focused on myself and the things that are happening more than thinking about other people. The times that things have gone unbelievably well is when I'm actually hands wide open, instead of like grasping, like it has to work out a certain way. That's the time that I get stressed. That's the time that I do things that are out of my character. And not only does the outcome not only work out the way I wanted it to, but then I damage the relationships along the way. And so for me, it's just to have hands wide open to say, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can. Whether it was playing sports, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's with my kids, I'm going to do all I can to love and work hard and to do things with integrity. But sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes I'm not going to get the outcomes I want, but I have to be okay with that. And the problem is when we try to control everything, and we try to force a square peg in a round hole and say, we have to win, or this has to happen. And, I sat next to a college student on a flight home, and he told me just how anxious he was about, he was going to play a fifth year. He's actually playing at Seton Hall this year, and his fifth year, and he's having an amazing time. And he was just saying, just for his future, he was just really anxious because he feels like he has to have everything figured out. And you don't have to have everything figured out. And the thing is, what you have to have figured out is who you are and who you want to be, but not like I have to have this job by this date or live in this size house or whatever it is. That's not the stuff you need to have figured out. You just need to figure out the person you're going to be wherever your feet are planted. And that's what happens too much these days is we're not looking at where our feet are planted. We're looking at, steps down the road. And we're saying, I need to be there, not here. And so you're not being fully present. You're not giving your all here. And so that's preventing you from getting there because, there are just so many times that we think we need to be somewhere else and then we miss the ability of being present and doing excellent work where we are. That's actually preparing us for when we get to the other place. Because too often, if we get to that place before we've actually done the preparation, we're going to fall flat. We're going to make a mistake. And it's just too often that we don't look at the joys and the beauties that we have in life right now. We look at the one or two things we don't have, and that keeps us from having joy in the moment. And if we can't find joy in the little things, I apologize, I can't remember who said it, but if you can't find joy in a cup of coffee, how are we going to find joy in these great, huge things that we think we're going to have that are going to make us so happy? And so I just think, again, relation, it just comes back to people. It just comes back to you looking outside of yourself and saying, how can I love and care about somebody today? And what I've found is that when I've done that, when I've put other people above myself, whether it's in sales, whether it's in just relationships, it's amazing how it just all takes care of itself. And even if the times that I think it didn't, turn out the right way, actually it turned out the right way. And other greater things were coming that I didn't realize with the loss that I had, there was something even better coming along the road. But it just took some patience. It took some learning. It took some endurance and perseverance. And it all worked out. But also it's, again, just finding joy in the moment.
This has been great, Chris. I appreciate you taking all the time today to have this conversation. And if you're a listener and you're new to this podcast or just Chris's work in general, you can connect with us in a number of ways. You can connect with us at younotme.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter for free at Substack, which is the You Not Me letter. You can also follow Chris Behrmann on Instagram and LinkedIn. Chris, thanks so much again for your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.